Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to LAOFCS Weekly. We have a lot in store today, including an early review of Glass. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Happy New Year. I am Scott Menzel, founder of We Live Entertainment. Happy to be back. And today we have two firsts on this show. Sitting right next to me is the man, Mr. Scott Mantz, the co-founder of this organization, the wonderful man who hosted the freaking hell out of the show the other night. Mantz, I love having you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a long time. I'm glad I could be here with the founder and chairman of the LA Online Film Critics Society.
And Mantz, he wrangled some talent. He did such a great job at the show. This man has the energy. I don't know where he gets it from. He doesn't drink coffee, I don't think. I don't think he...
I just love movies.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the energy.
When you love something and you're passionate about it, the enthusiasm and the energy just comes organically, and that's the case with three things for me: with movies, with the Beatles, and with Star Trek. Those are the three things that I get passionate about, and I do not need coffee to do it.
No, you do not. Next up, Joel, who has not been on the show yet either.
Nope.
Joel, introduce yourself.
Joel D. Amos. I am the Movie Mensch, visitable at themoviemensch.com, and it is my sincere honor, pleasure to finally be here and share this wonderful space with you guys.
Yay,
Yay,
Joel.
Joel. And then finally, a welcome return. As Mantz pointed out at the award ceremony, the second most handsome man in the room.
So much
he
pressure.
still is.
Yeah, my name is Nestor Bentcantor. You can find me at Nestor Cine. And let me tell you, I know that your nickname is Movie Mantz. From now on, to me, you are the greatest showmantz.
And we know
all these years I've been Iron Mantz, a Mantz for all seasons,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Mantz, but the greatest showmance.
There you go.
Nestor!
Yes.
All right,
Special resonance
because
here.
of that, you are the best looking guy in the room. From
Thank
this
you.
point
Oh,
forward,
thank you.
For sure.
For an hour.
You've witnessed a promotion.
You got promoted, yeah.
Oh, my God. Nestor, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, thank you for joining. So, you know, we used to have a format on this show. We kind of threw it out the window because it's award season and there's so much to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about our own award ceremony and our highlights from that. But let's first start off with some of the movies that came out. We didn't have a show last week because only one movie came out. So what was the point of having a show to talk about one movie? And that movie was Escape Room. I saw this back in December, and I got a very special invite to see it, and did not have kind things to say. Did not work. I kept looking at my phone. I wanted this movie to end. It just did not work for me. It felt like a poor man's version of Saw meets The Truman Show.
Okay, did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I have to say about Escape Room. So, have you ever been to one of these escape rooms?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
when you go with a bunch of friends and you're all looking around looking for clues on how to get out of there? Okay, with this movie, again, sometimes you know a movie doesn't work, but you kind of need some time to like really figure out why it doesn't work. And it wasn't until after I left the screening that I realized why it didn't work for me, and it was because you had to be there. Like if you're watching other people and you're not part of it, then you're not part of it. And if you're not part of what's going on, then you're not engaged to the film. And with the exception of a couple of the clues that they were looking for, where I was sitting in the audience and I guessed like one or two of the clues, and I felt like, oh, okay, you know, if the audience is actually maybe one step ahead of the people in the room, then it's almost like an interactive movie. But in most cases, the clues were impossible to figure out, and you can't look around the room unless the camera is looking out around the room. The other problem I have with this movie is, with the exception of like the two of the women, I didn't care about anybody in the room.
Oh my God, I agree with you.
And I didn't really care if they got out or not, if they lived or died. And I'm not going to spoil how it ends for the one or two people who maybe have not seen it and might want to. But I could not escape from this theater fast enough. What'd you think, Joel?
I maybe liked it a little more than you guys.
A little.
Just like
So you still didn't like it.
like that much. I think the headline for me was Taylor Russell. I thought I hope to see more from her in the future. She did her best with what she could, but you can only elevate crap so high.
Yeah.
The rooms I felt like were a bit I don't know, that they each seem so geared towards each person. And again, not giving anything away, but in the final scene of the movie, I feel like everything that they'd established up to that point, they just threw right out the window.
I agree with you completely. Yeah.
You know, so if everything is geared towards each person, then why did you have the ending you had? And I just, when you get an ending like that, it throws all the goodwill I had for a movie right out the window.
I completely agree. Nestor?
I mean, I agree with that. The ending is terrible. The ending is so bad to the point that you wonder, is the same people that were making the movie until this point in charge of making this? And I'm sure that you have more endings. There has to be kind of an alternative ending there because this was terrible. It felt like Final Destination mixed with, I don't know, whatever, The Ring or horrible last 10 minutes of this movie. What happened before, I think, to me, is good enough for a genre movie, kind of thriller, horror. I think the production design is pretty cool. I think that for the most time, I was kind of engaged with the story and I didn't hate the characters because most of a bad horror movie, you actively want them to die.
Mm-hmm.
You want the monster to get them. You want the killer to get them. And to me, that wasn't the case.
But with everybody or just a couple of them?
No, I had a good time with all the characters. I was engaged with the movie throughout, except for those terrible 10-15 minutes, and the answer that they give to this is the less interesting answer you can provide.
Yeah.
It's so pedestrian, so ridiculous. So I was disappointed at the end, but what happens before is not that horrible to me.
I completely disagree with you, surprisingly, because I just felt like the characters weren't interesting at all. There was no development. They tried to do these flashback sequences that was supposed to show how bad they were or something that they did, and it wasn't even impactful. I didn't hate them. I didn't like them. I just didn't care about them at all. There was no feeling whatsoever towards any of these characters in this movie. And that guy who was in Love, Simon, who I really, really liked, and he's very charismatic. And he was kind of like the leader of this film, and he was not good at all.
Well, he's in the opening scene.
Yeah,
and he's our pull into the story.
And I was just like.
And you lost me with him. Yeah.
You know what? This is a movie that, honestly, they released it in the beginning of January for a reason. The first weekend of January after the holidays.
Graveyard.
Graveyard. For a reason, because people are they're recovering from the holidays. They're still catching up on all the bigger films like Aquaman and Mary Poppins and all these other big films that opened and all these awards season movies that were in select cities that went wide. So this is a dumping ground, and January is a dumping ground. There have been some surprises, surprise movies that came out of January, like Split from a couple years ago, and we're going to talk about the sequel in a moment. But generally, Escape Room is a film that fits right in January. It's forgettable. Maybe they should have let it go on the Netflix, Amazon, Hulu platform so people could watch it from home and not have to pay to see it. And even then, I would have recommended don't waste your time. So I think we've wasted enough time talking about this turkey.
I agree. Nestor, since you're the only one who saw Replicas.
No, you saw it.
I did not see it.
Oh, you saw it? Okay. Replicas is exactly what you just said about Escape Room to me. It's a movie that should have been released on a streaming service. It's a very small movie. And it's a movie that if you're at home Friday night, you don't know what to do. Say, okay, I want to see kind of a bad movie, but it's entertaining to a point and it's fun because it's bad and you like Keanu Reeves. Sure, watch it with very low expectations. And if you like science fiction, there are a couple of ideas they toy around, nothing revelatory, mind-blowing, but it tickles you, But there are some line of dialogues that are terrible, but you kind of laugh with, and you laugh at the movie. So for that, sure, you want to see kind of a Nicolas Cage ridiculous movie, yeah, Replicas works.
Backhand compliment.
Yeah, pretty much. You and I both saw the Upside at Toronto International Film Festival
a year and a half ago.
Yes, when it was Weinstein.
Yes,
before all that stuff.
Okay, so the backstory to the Upside, it's a remake a French film, a very, very popular French film called The Intouchables, and this Americanized version of it, starring Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart and Nicole Kidman, premiered at the Toronto Film Festival in September of 2017. And I remember watching that movie at the Princess of Wales Theater thinking like, wow, this is really, really fun. And it's so charming, and it's so upbeat and feel good. And it's a Kevin Hart that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And then a couple of things happened. Like a month after the Toronto Film Festival, Harvey Weinstein came crashing down, and so did the Weinstein Company. And this was a film that was collateral damage because of it. So then about a year later, STX Entertainment, which needs a hit on its hands, picked it up. And I went, wow, you know what? This is perfect because it's actually really, really good. So STX has a movie that could potentially be like a mid-range hit. And what happens, Kevin Hart is asked to host the Oscars and then totally botches that job before he even like really takes the job. And all the talk about the upside now, all the interviews that Kevin Hart's doing, it's all turned around and been about his bungling of the Oscar host. And the movie's actually really good. I thought it was great. I thought the chemistry with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston was great. And Kevin Hart, who I have to say, I'm not a massive fan of his stuff. I think his shtick is sort of worn thin for me.
Yeah.
But in this movie, he showed range, he showed depth. There was a serious side to him we have not seen before, and he did pull it off. Great chemistry with Bryan Cranston. I really, really thought it was a really good movie, and I would absolutely recommend it. What did you think?
I pretty much agree with you. I mean, Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston have remarkable chemistry together. Their dialogue is back and forth. Some of the changes they made from the French film to the American film made sense. They were jokes that people would not get if they were not an American audience, and vice versa. So I feel like that really worked. Nicole Kidman, also kind of charming in this film. It's a feel-good crowd pleaser, another one of these movies. And I agree with you that instead of worrying about the Happy Time Murders or some of these other pieces of crap that they released last year, Mile 22, Nestor, your favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
They should have put that one. They should have put this movie out.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right.
Why is it out in January then?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know when STX picked it up, but it was probably after the fall, because that's when I read that they did pick it up. And but I mean, they've not had good luck.
No.
I mean, other than Bad Moms and Bad Moms Christmas, they've not had good luck with movies at the box office. I mean, Adrift was the movie with Shailene Woodley. That was actually really good, but people didn't see it. It's a hard time for mid-range type of distributors. And like even today, I mean, breaking news, Lionsgate.
Oh my God, yeah.
Did you hear this news? So Lionsgate, the studio behind the Hunger Games and the Saw franchise.
La La Land.
La La Land, the movie that changed my life and won Best Picture for 2 minutes, but did win 6 other Oscars. They had big layoffs. It's a hard time for mid-range distributors because the landscape has changed so much, and a movie like The Upside just couldn't get a break.
No.
Okay, what'd you think?
They didn't see it.
They didn't see it.
They didn't see
They
it.
didn't see it. But guys, I mean, seriously, it's good.
I want to see it.
Yeah,
I
it's
wanna
really
see it.
good.
I love the French film. I absolutely love the French film. But I actually personally am a fan of Kevin Hart. I do feel he's pushing the stick too far. He needs a movie like this, I think, to show people that he can do something else. So I'm actually very excited to see it. And Bryan Cranston can do no wrong.
Bryan Cranston's great.
So
yep.
It's up there for
Joel,
me.
we're going to start with you. We're the other two movies. Oh, actually, only one. A Dog Ways Home, which I want to see, but didn't have a chance to see this week. Maybe next week we'll talk about it briefly.
Or not.
Or not. But Joel, I want to start with you. We're going to do an early review of Glass because I feel like this is a very highly anticipated film. Joel, since you didn't get to talk that much yet, let's start with you.
I actually rather liked Glass. I have been a huge fan of M. Night since the beginning, except for that large swath of time where he was swinging and missing at everything, Last Airbender. I welcomed the end of Split. that just rocked my world, and I know that we are going to be split here on this movie.
I see what you did
Yeah,
there.
You see what I did there? But I did. I liked what he was going for. I like how he is coming from a comic book movie mindset from before we were inundated with comic book movies. I mean, if you believe that this was a trilogy in his head for 20 years now,
Unbreakable.
it was a different landscape back then. And I think that what we see on the screen is a product of that. And I think he stuck to his guns, and I think he deserves some saluting for that. There's a lot of shocking moments, but I do see why it's so divisive. I do see why there are parts of the film that people are just going to hate. But personally, I enjoyed it. I found it thrilling. And the worth it thing for me, price of admission wise, James McAvoy. I mean, the way he changes on a dime for those characters that are all inside his head is astounding, and a lesson for actors everywhere.
You said you could see why people the issues that people do have with it. Without spoiling anything, what are the issues that maybe they didn't bother you, but you could see how they would bother other critics or people?
Well, it's called Glass, but the movie really is not about Mr. Glass.
Right.
And I think that
that's one of the problems.
That's kind of a huge thing when you mislead your audience and they go in thinking, we love Samuel Jackson. I love that character for Unbreakable. In a lot of ways, this is really split too.
Yeah, it really. You're right.
3, my most anticipated release of 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole year.
The whole year, number 3.
Interesting.
I mean, it was-
After Spider-Man,
I was
and
feeling
Star
like
Wars,
I was
and
feeling like
Avengers.
I was like the Beast, going around the
Lion
world.
King.
Cannot wait for this movie.
Wow.
Running on
right.
all fours.
Yeah, Captain
Yes.
Marvel. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Number
all right,
3 for
All right.
me. Huge fan of Unbreakable. I enjoyed Split. That was pretty cool. Major disappointment for me. Everybody's supposed to be on the same page, and you're just waiting for these characters to come together to wrap things up, and you go home happy. Why you waste that opportunity? And there are moments that you feel that Shyamalan doesn't know what to do with this story. A story that he had 19 years to think about.
Well, that second act just goes on. It's a lost cause.
I mean, I
will
have
say.
heard that, but I would say that, I don't know, there's like 45 minutes in this movie that is centered on another character. The movie could have been called Dr. Staple, okay? It's a character that I call personally Dr. Jar Jar because it's such an annoying character. Her whole purpose is for you to make you question things that you already know that happen. So you feel Shyamalan through this character, and sometimes through Glass character. And Samuel Jackson is great, James McAvoy is awesome, but you feel the same tendencies that brought Shyamalan down. This obsession with putting himself before the story, before the character. I can see Shyamalan talking to the audience with these grandiloquent things that feel so absurd. Every time somebody says superhero movies, I want to jump out of a window. In the first Unbreakable, the superhero conversation was sophisticated, was fresh, was new. In this movie, it feels forced. I was distracted. It's ridiculous. How would they want to mesh these two things up? And the last thing I want to say right now is that what is the story about? I think that another movie, superhero movie from 2000, like Unbreakable, did it way better. It was called X-Men. So what are we doing with this? I don't get it.
All right, Menzel, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. I had some issues with it, just like everyone else was saying. My biggest problem with it is that middle. It does have a lot to deal with Sarah Paulson's character. It has a lot to do with the fact that it just feels bloated and unnecessary. There's a lot of explaining in this film that I don't feel needs to be done. And your mention of, I got it. And I feel like this is his love letter to comic books and comic book, movies. But I don't feel like he had to keep telling us. Although, with that being said, I did enjoy, Samuel L. Jackson's references to, this is like, oh, here's the other characters. Like that kind of stuff to me, I appreciated. And I will say that I like Samuel L. Jackson, but it's very hard for me to actually forget that I'm watching Samuel L. Jackson. This was one of the rare times where I actually felt like, oh, this is actually a character that he's playing as opposed to himself.
You're watching him act.
Yeah.
Right. I see your point.
Which, because like I just feel like he's playing himself in so many of the movies that he's done, and it's just like that's just him. It's just him. It's just him. But you know, this is going to be controversial at this table. I was actually split on Split. I actually thought Split was only okay, and I really enjoyed Unbreakable. And I thought that this movie, you know, when you take the beginning and you take the end, it works, and then the middle's kind of sloppy. But I can kind of give it a pass because I appreciate those two things, and I think this can open it up to a much bigger movie.
All right, I hated Glass. I'm just going to
Okay.
say, I'm going to say that right off the top. I hated Glass. I loved Unbreakable. I thought when Unbreakable opened in November of 2000, and it was about a year and a half after The Sixth Sense was nominated for, I think, 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. 6 or 7, right? And look, I mean, The Sixth Sense made almost $300 million domestically, and it had one of the best surprise endings up there with like Planet of the Apes, you know, and Citizen Kane. I mean, it was a great movie. Unbreakable suffered because it had to follow The Sixth Sense, but it was still a very good movie. And it had I love the twist ending, you know, with Samuel Jackson being the villain and all that stuff. I thought it was great. And Split, I really liked Split a lot. It came out in January. As far as January movies go, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a massive showcase for James McAvoy.
Oh my
He
gosh.
should have been nominated for
should
all
have.
27 of those performances.
I have said since that movie came out, if that movie came out in November,
He would have been
on
nominated.
that
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. But here's the problem. The ending of Split, when you get to the ending of Split, you know, it's been a couple years since it's been out there, so I'm not spoiling anything here, but when you realize that it's part of the Unbreakable universe, that moment I didn't go, oh my God, wow, that was great. I went, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like it didn't need to be part
Yes.
of that universe. It didn't need to. It worked fine without it. It was a good movie on its own terms, suspenseful. Again, gripping, riveting performance from James McAvoy, but it didn't need to be part of the Unbreakable universe. So what I'm saying is that it felt forced being a part of the Unbreakable universe. Well, that was just the end, like post-credits practically, of Split. But with Glass, you feel the strain. You feel the strain to make Split part of the Unbreakable universe. These characters, these movies, they work on their own merits, but not together. And also, this is a film that came out like 18 years too late. Because when Unbreakable opened in 2000, it was like 3 or 4 months after X-Men revitalized the superhero movie genre. Because, you know, the 70s superhero movie, Superman, that came and went. And then the Tim Burton Batman series, that came and went. But it was X-Men which revitalized the genre, and a genre that has now sustained itself consistently and evolved over the years. Like you went from the X-Men films to the Spider-Man films to the Dark Knight films to the Marvel freaking Cinematic Universe, which has been an unprecedented thing in the history of Hollywood movies, period. What Kevin Feige has done with the MCU is brilliant, and I think, you know, we don't have the perspective yet, but it is unprecedented in Hollywood what he has done. And the tone of Glass was, I don't get it. It wasn't consistent. It was a tone-deaf movie. Is it supposed to be campy, deliberately campy? I mean, it took itself too seriously for the campy tone of it. And I mean, I agree. Well, I call it Glass when it's really a Split too. It just, and it was a slow build, which I'm all for, because The Sixth Sense was a slow build. The whole I see dead people moment was the midpoint of that movie. And I'm all for a slow build. I'm all for building suspense and intensity. But the payoff wasn't worth it. The last 30, 40 minutes of the movie was a mess. It didn't work. And whatever promising build-up that movie had a very disappointing payoff. And the movie Glass did not work.
And it's not the lack of action, because some people are saying, oh, you were expecting action. It's not the lack of action. It's the lack of good drama. I wanted to see this movie with these 3 characters locked in one room. I want to see that movie, like Buried or, I don't know, The Guilty or something like that. A very small, contained, almost like a theater play. I want to see that movie. That is the thing that we were promised. And we have, for example, that scene with there are the three of them together in this kind of pink room, and it's all about the Doctor. It's all about the Doctor. These characters, they don't have Mr. Glass and David Dunn. They don't have like one scene in Heat. You want to see Robert De Niro and Al Pacino together having a conversation. You don't have that. You don't have the character of Kevin and Mr. Dunn. You could have the first half of this movie just David Dunn chasing the beast. You can have that, and you don't.
Well, it's a misfire. And I mean, look, it's Shyamalan. He started strong. I mean, what was the line he said in Signs? Swing away, and he swung out right out of the gate. I mean, his first couple
Great,
films.
yeah.
I mean, Sixth Sense. I mean, Unbreakable, and then Signs. But then after that, Lady in the Water, The Village, and then Last Airbender, and then The Crappening. I mean, I hated that movie.
This is not as bad as The Happening. This is not an Airbender. This is not.
I was
Earth.
very disappointed.
But it's more disappointing.
It's
better, but more disappointing.
This movie is to this trilogy what Return of the Jedi was to the original Star Wars, what Spider-Man 3 was to Spider-Man.
Crystal Skull to Indiana Jones.
X-Men 3 was to, Crystal Skull was 4.
No, but talking about
a sequel that disappointed.
The chapter that comes so many.
And I'm not dissing
after...
Return of the Jedi. I like Return of the Jedi. It's just not as good as Empire Strikes Back.
But I think that this case
is anything really?
Nothing. No, nothing is. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
But okay, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna open really, really strong. But I think the word of mouth is gonna, and the social media talk about Glass is gonna hurt.
I wanna just ask you guys a quick question. So back in the heyday of M. Night. He pretty much had free for all range. They kind of like the studio wanted to give him money. They supported it. This is a Blumhouse production, and we all know that with Blumhouse productions, that means that there's a small budget. Do you feel like those who did not like this movie? Do you feel like that maybe hurt this movie?
No.
You don't?
No, not at all. I mean, Blumhouse. They're an Oscar nominee for Get Out.
Right.
So Blumhouse, they know, and they did the
Whiplash.
Halloween.
They produced Whiplash.
But they did Halloween. Halloween was actually, I mean, I liked it. People liked it a lot more than I did, but it was still decent. And look, Blumhouse is on fire. They're doing great stuff.
But I'm talking about like the vision that he originally had and the budget that was originally planned for it. Maybe the movie had to be cut back because of the fact that they said times are time and you don't have as much
It's
money.
not lack of money, it's not lack of time, it's just lack of good, solid ideas and a good, solid story. You don't see it in the movie.
I remember back in the day, like in the days after Unbreakable opened, and it underperformed at the box office. But then again, I mean, anything that's going to come in after Sixth Sense is gonna not be as good box office wise or critically. But I remember at the time, Shyamalan said, this is part of a trilogy. I was planning on doing a trilogy here. And he said, and I quote, but I didn't feel the love on Unbreakable. He said, I didn't feel the love. So he abandoned it. And it wasn't until people saw the end of Split that people went, oh, he picked it up again. Okay. But, again, it felt tacked on. The surprise ending for Split felt tacked on. I felt forced. It didn't work. And the strain of that being so forced is felt all throughout the course of Glass.
If I could just add real quick, for me, it actually works because what they established at the beginning of Glass is that David Dunn and his son have been basically chasing bad guys across Philadelphia for the last 19 years, almost unchecked. And what they did at the end of Split is basically announce, this is coming for you, David Dunn. You have met your match. And that, to me, is why Glass works, because there is that thread that connects it, that doesn't hinder it, that actually almost catapults it into what we get. But that was, that's just my take on it.
But just FYI, Philadelphia, hometown.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yours too, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice to see Allentown in there.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, I love seeing downtown
yeah,
Philly. Come on, Philly's a great city.
Yeah. So moving on, let's just go real quick around the room. We had our second annual award ceremony the other day. It was a great show. Like I said earlier as I opened this guy right next to me, I mean, if you want someone to host the show, if you want someone to moderate a Q&A, this is the man you need
Thanks,
to hire.
pal. Thank you. Now, by the way, the whole reason that night went as smoothly as it did is because Scott and Ashley did everything. I mean, all year long, dotted every I, crossed every T.
Incredible.
You know, got the venue, handled all of the things with the logistics, the programs, the awards,
The seating.
half of the talent, the seating, all of it. Everything was because of you and Ashley. All I did was show up and host it, and that was it. So this is all, I mean, all the credit goes to this guy.
We
All
are
of it.
forever in your debt.
We are,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
But
That's
it was a
very
fun
kind.
night, and having people, you know, sit. I mean, first of all, Brie Larson, who was our Trailblazer recipient this year, posted on her Instagram saying that you have to go to this event as a nominee, as a winner. It was the most hilariously entertaining. Sorry, I got to take a little bit of credit for that.
Hilariously
Yes,
fun.
yes,
You know,
Hilariously fun.
Hilariously, I mean, come on, I take a little bit of credit for being
Yes,
hilarious.
yes.
I had in ages.
But
Yes.
the all of our members, all of our group members, you can call it LAOFCS. I call it the group, and that was something that Brie Larson did pick up
And
because
ran with.
she ran with it, and so did everybody else. But it was the heartfelt presentations by the members in their in you know, announcing the winners. I mean, it's a genuine feeling, and it's very low key, it's very relaxed, it's very loose. We don't have a teleprompter, we're not broadcasting to the nation, you know. It's all exclusive on We Live Entertainment. And it was just, you know, we had a great turnout, you know, Rami Malek, Elsie Fisher, Bo Burnham, you know, Brie Larson, John Cho.
Amanda Stenberg.
You know, the
George
cast of
Stillman
you know,
Jr..
George Cho. Yeah, it was a great turn. The directors of Spider-Man, the producers of A Quiet Place.
Wolf.
We got a video from Spike Lee. I'll take it.
Oh
we got
my
a video
God,
from
I
Regina
know.
King. I'll take it. Mahershala Ali, you missed out. Sorry. But the other thing is, you know, we had a great first year. We had an even better second year, and you know, this is a group that is growing, and we're getting attention for all the right reasons because you know, I'm sure you've talked about this before on the show, but the whole purpose of this group is to establish diversity and gender equality to match the city of LA and Southern California, which is diverse and obviously gender equality. And, you know, you need to have a critics group that reflects the voting audience. So you're comparing apples to apples. It's not just another critics, because why do that? You know, but it was great to see to get the reactions from the publicists after the fact. Oh my God, that was so
Jesus
great!
Christ,
you
yeah.
know that you know, it was a perfect night, and that was after last year's perfect night. So we're 2 for 2.
Nestor, this was your first year for you. What was your favorite takeaway from it?
I mean, the whole thing was really incredible as an immigrant in these very xenophobic times. You know, to feel that complete sense of belonging is very special. You know, to me, it's not just, oh, this is gonna help your career or whatever. You know, I feel like I'm part of something. I'm being recognized, and that is not just, oh, let's be politically correct. That changes your life. You know, and I think that all the guests felt that sincere passion and commitment that we showed throughout the whole thing. And everybody had an amazing time, in part because of you, and in part obviously because of what you did and Ashley. So to me, it was incredible. And it's funny because some people is commenting on the food, that saying, "Oh, the food was awesome. The food was awesome." But in a way, I think that it was also kind of food for the soul. I think that some of these people.
Well, let me tell you something, Nestor. Here's the trick. It's all about the food.
So-
It's all about the food. I remember at last year's Critics' Choice Awards, which was held just like this year, just a few days after the group. And yes, I'm serious, man. It's the group.
It is
Hashtag
the group. It is.
the group.
Hashtag the group.
Hashtag the group. After our awards gala last year. So Guillermo del Toro, who won big at our show last year with Best Picture and Best Director. So I see him at the Critics' Choice Awards. So I went up to him and just to thank him, for coming, and just to, hey, I hope you had fun. So he said, The food was delicious. That was the first thing he said. And he goes, no, we all really had a great time. And then the producer of The Shape of Water, said, we had a great time. We loved how absolutely sincere and genuine the whole night felt. You made us feel very, very welcome, is what they said. But Guillermo said the food is everything. And I got news for you. You're going to your first Critics' Choice Awards this Sunday.
Yeah.
You better eat before the show. I mean, seriously, eat before the show. So the show runs, I think, 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Okay. The food that's there, like maybe a little bread, a little bit of something. Like if there's no actual food, like you're gonna be freaking hungry if you don't eat before that show.
You know what? This year was the first year I had the appetizers outside. Like, did you guys have
those were good? Those crab cakes?
Yeah,
oh my God, they were great! We're excited about the crab cakes.
It's just.
The show is morphing into something culinary critique.
The food was delicious. You had the tuna tartare, which is on the screen right now. I mean, it was just.
I give it 5 stars.
Yeah.
Maybe you should pitch the show to Food TV.
Right. Yeah.
That's where it should air.
But the best moment of the night, so at the end of the night when The Hate You Give won Best Picture, so George Tillman Jr., the director, and Amanda Stenberg, so they're up on, they had their awards, and Amanda's award fell, and she freaking caught it. She caught it, and everybody was like, "Woo!"
Did you see my picture? I caught that very moment.
You caught that moment.
I mean,
Joel,
I couldn't believe it.
that was like, I was like, yeah. Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun.
She caught that
But it was
like a cat.
But I mean, look, I have to say, just other things for the group to be proud of is, it was really, really awesome when Rami Malek won Best Actor Drama at the Golden Globes, and I was so happy and excited when Bohemian Rhapsody won Best Picture Drama at the Globes, because I saw that movie at the very first public screening. I loved it from the moment I saw it. I just felt like it made me feel good. I was pumped. I was energized, and the ensemble cast, they all worked so great together. And we found out on Sunday that Rami won Best Actor. But our group announced that Rami won Best Actor first. So I was really proud, that we recognized what everyone else is now, going to be recognizing. I think he has a really good shot to win the Critics' Choice Award and the Oscar now. I mean, he's
absolutely.
And the movie itself, Bohemian Rhapsody, was nominated for Best Acting Ensemble at the SAG Awards, which is their equivalent of Best Picture, and it won It was nominated for a Producers Guild Award.
It's another clue.
Again, another clue that it could get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. But I was so proud that we honored Rami first, and that he was there to accept the award.
And The Hate You Give, a movie that has been completely ignored, and I think that many members, I don't want to be, a cynic, I don't want to be bad, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people is not watching this screening. Because if you see this movie, maybe you don't agree that it's the best movie of the year, fine. How can you ignore Russell Hornsby for Best Supporting Actor?
I agree with you. It
How
was
can
overlooked.
you do that?
It was overlooked, and they opened it in select cities. It premiered at Toronto, which is where we saw it. It opened in select cities in October, and then 2 weeks later it went wide. I don't know. I mean, it's based on a book. I mean, the screenwriter passed away before Toronto.
like
And
a week or two before.
It was
really
like the
hard.
timing was really, really bad.
And the young adult stigma,
But George Tillman Jr. just did a marvelous job capturing the scope, the national scope of the inciting incident that launches The Hate You Give, putting all this pressure on the character played by Amanda Stenberg, who was absolutely magnificent. He gave one of the 3 great young performances of the year, actress-wise, next to Elsie Fisher for 8th Grade, and for Millicent Simmons for A Quiet Place, who was wonderful in that movie. But I mean, The Hate You Give was a really great movie, often overlooked, but I know it was your number one, and he's on the Blu-ray.
That is like another really proud moment to be on that one, because I love this movie so much. Joel, you didn't get to say anything. What did you think? What was your favorite takeaway?
My highlight, I mean, there's so many. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to choose, but my highlight, keeping it with The Hate You Give, was the acceptance video that we got from the author of the book.
Oh, that was rousing.
That
right?
was rousing, and not only was she enjoyable, she was enlightening, she was entertaining, she had us laughing, she was real, she was raw, she was everything you would want her to be, and everything that you can see embodied in her story that we see on the big screen. I think that we could not have had a better representation of that movie at our awards than her acceptance speech.
Great. Real quick, we don't have time to run through all these. I love that we had this great conversation today, but the BAFTA nominations came out. Surprises, takeaways, negatives. What do you guys think?
One thing that's striking to me is that Bohemian Rhapsody earned a nod for Outstanding British Film, but not Best Film, whereas The Favorite is nominated in both. And I'm wondering if that might be a hiccup on its march to the Oscars.
What, for Bohemian?
Yeah.
No, you know what? The BAFTAs are a different beast. I mean, they're British Oscars, and they are the British Oscars. Where I think that the Favorite is, while it's getting all these nominations, it's the most nominated film at the Critics' Choice Awards on Sunday with 14 nominations, and it got 12 nominations at the BAFTAs. I feel like really when it comes down to it, what is it really going to win here? I mean, I think Olivia Colman solidified her frontrunner status with her Best Actress Comedy win. And this is British, and so is the movie.
It's
and
probably the most British movie out there.
Yeah, I mean, they're really, of course, so it makes sense that it's the most nominated. And I feel like it's going to be at the BAFTAs where it does get more wins, more recognition that way. Where, I mean, I was surprised pleasantly because I loved Green Book, but when Green Book won Best Screenplay over The Favorite at the Globes,
I was shocked.
I mean, honestly, I keep talking about the Globes. Honestly, I don't really give a whole lot of credibility to the Globes.
No.
Because they're 90 or so members, and they divide the categories between musical and comedy versus drama, so you have more chances to predict things. But really, the bellwether, the best award show that really does have the best accuracy with predicting the Oscar nominations and the wins are the Critics' Choice Awards. Last year when Shape of Water won, the Critics' Choice Awards had a 100% accuracy rating on all of the major awards. 100%. So consider that when you look at how First Man was nominated for 10 Critics' Choice Awards. I know I like that movie more than most people, and I think that it'll do well in the below-the-line stuff, but First Man was, just like Hate You Give for different reasons, overlooked. Also overlooked at the BAFTAs. I'm not surprised there, but I think The Favorite will have much better odds at winning at the BAFTAs.
Yeah. How about you, Nestor?
I mean, to me, it's kind of surprised the best lead actress category, because I think it's the strongest category you can think of. And a couple of months ago, we had like 20 people that could be fighting for this. And Toni Collette is not part of the conversation anymore.
Is sad.
Apparently, it's weird to me that Saoirse Ronan is not here. I mean, for this award in particular. Charlize Theron. I think that she did a fantastic job in Tully.
If that came out in October, if they switched the two Reitman movies,
they should have too.
They should have, because the front runner was very disappointing. And Tully, which came out in April, was great. And Charlize Theron,
stunning movie,
one of her great performances, but it came out so early that she just was not getting the love.
Yeah, nothing for 8th grade, nothing for First Reformed, and I'm starting to think about Ethan Hawke's chances here, because he's being overlooked for.
For which one?
Ethan Hawke. First Reformed.
First Reformed. It's listen. The fact that it's getting any nominations at all, pick your battles. Be happy with what you get. It's just too small. It's too indie, and it's very freaking depressing.
It's actually somewhat surprising for me, given the history of the BAFTA, is that they actually did a Best Original Screenplay at the award I presented at our show to Vice. They did a nomination for Vice. It's a very uniquely American story about the American democracy process, and usually the BAFTAs aren't really turned on by that sort of thing. So I actually feel like that's kind of one of the surprises for me as well.
But it's not for Best Picture.
No. Yeah. But the screenplay, the fact that it was even noticed.
Yeah,
for that.
The thing that stands out to me, and it doesn't really stand out in terms of award season, considering what this group stands for, but Stan and Ollie, I feel like, is
Yeah.
the underdog of awards
It's
season.
a very good movie.
And it's a really good movie, and I'm so happy that Steve Coogan got
Finally.
Best Leading Actor.
Finally,
He's
some
so
notice.
good.
Yeah, he's great, and so is John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both great in that film. That was but again, it's not. It's a Sony Pictures Classics movie. It's John C. Reilly was nominated for Best Actor Comedy for it. It's just too under the radar. It's being overlooked, but again, it's also very, very, very niche. Think about it. I mean, Lauren Hardy.
Yeah.
What
a film lovers movie.
what Twitter user really is gonna really run out to see a movie about Lauren Hardy?
Those two aren't on Twitter? Really? I thought they were.
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks on this?
For the BAFTAs?
Yeah.
No, I mean, my question right now is, can Roma win Best Picture at the Oscars?
Yeah, I think it has a very strong
That is
shot.
my question right now, because Cuarón is gonna take. He's
gonna get director.
He's gonna get director.
He's going to get director, cinematography. He's going to get foreign film for sure.
And he's been nominated for every single guild. The writers, the producers, the director. I mean,
And what's great about it, Nestor, is that there is no front runner for Best Picture.
I
There's
know,
no,
that's great.
There's no
I
Lord of
know.
the Rings.
No. I
There's
know.
no Titanic. There's no Argo. There's nothing that is like the race is over. It could be Roma. It could be Green Book. It could be The Favorite. It could be A Star Is Born.
Could be
they're
Bohemian
all-
Rhapsody now.
Well, Bohemian Rhapsody, up until and I was saying that I think that it'll get the 8th nomination for Best Picture, and now I'm convinced it'll get the 8th nomination.
And
for
I think
Best Picture.
especially given that landscape, the fact that they have the way that they vote now at the Academy, it could be anybody's game.
Right, and
I
you're
mean,
also like in the last 2 years they added 2,000 members.
right, and we don't know how those
2,000
people.
members?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't.
2,000.
Last year it was a little more. You can get somewhat of an idea, but we have. This is a blank slate.
There's
as far as-
7,900 members of the
So
Academy.
I would not count out Black Klansman. Now that personally is my.
I
yeah,
love Black
I love
Klansman.
Black
No, I
Klansman.
agree.
But I would
I agree.
not, and they have long ignored Spike for years,
right.
and he is more than due. And was anyone else notice that he seemed really bored at the Golden Globes?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
listen, Spike Lee. If that's Spike Lee, happy.
Yeah, right. So
default position.
You know those T-shirts that say, Darth Vader happy,
Yeah,
Darth Vader
yeah.
sad, Darth Vader dead.
Yeah.
That's
Spike
Spike
Lee.
Lee. No, so let's
Spike Lee giddy.
Spike Lee has been breaking ground. He's been a trailblazer since 1986 with the She's Gotta Have It.
Yeah.
His breakthrough film, to Do the Right Thing,
that
the
movie.
best movie of 1989.
No question.
And Black Klansman is his most fully realized movie, and I
Mm-hmm.
say that because he took like sort of the broad commercial qualities that he put into
Truly
Inside Man,
Yep.
but he stayed true to his roots as a controversial button pusher, a conversation starter with Black Klansman. Like everything that Spike Lee does great came to bear in Black Klansman, and he deserves to be recognized.
And it's a period piece that works today.
Yes.
Especially
Oh.
with that ending. What he did with
Sure
it, what he
does.
chose to do with that ending, you're just like, nothing has changed.
Yep. Just like with the end of Do the Right Thing.
Yes.
Nothing has
Same
changed.
thing.
I mean, that
Exactly.
movie came out before Rodney King, before Trayvon Martin. And now 30 years later, today's the 30th anniversary. This year is the 30th anniversary of Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
And Do the Right Thing is still a big, it's still timely and ahead of its time, sadly.
Academy, do not forget Black Klansman.
Yeah, do not forget Spike Lee, baby.
All right, guys, we're done. Let's wrap up real quick. Nestor, starting with you, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter as Nestor Cine, on Instagram as Desde Hollywood, and I run the website called DesdeHollywood.com. It's a bilingual website, and that's me.
I am at themoviemensch.com. I can also be found at Joel_D_Amos, Joel D. Amos on Twitter, and also on Facebook if you find me there.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MovieMance with a TZ. You can also watch my show Movie Review Talk on Collider every Friday morning at 9 a.m. You've been on my show. You've been on my show. You better come on my show the next time you're in town. I swear to God, I'm tracking you down.
Count it.
And you can also catch me on Collider Videos for Your Consideration, our award season show that runs every Monday afternoon. And you can probably catch me at the ArcLight moderating Q&As all weekend long.
Yes. I almost guarantee that's going to happen. So
I hope so.
Yes. I, of course, am Scott Menzel. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @theotherscottm and visit weliveentertainment.com. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, comment on this video. Thank you again. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.